Hey guys, welcome back to Election Center, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the polling data for the 2020 US presidential election and talking about how Biden might be consolidating a more stable lead over Trump and how the polling data seems to be shifting back to Biden in a lot of places because Trump had been having a bit of a comeback. A lot of people were saying that the polls were shifting dramatically to him, and I saw his prospects improving in things such as the 538 forecast or the betting odds on Real Clear Politics. But now it seems to be shifting back to Biden, and that little moment Trump was having of that comeback seems to have halted. So we're going to be analyzing that, talking about maybe why that's happening, and just looking at 538, Real Clear Politics, things such as the 538 forecast, and the Real Clear Politics betting odds. So let's start off here with 538 polls at the national level. So we see here maybe Biden got up a bit of a bounce after the Democratic National Convention. That crashed down a bit. After the Republican National Convention, Trump was having that comeback a bit, right? And now that seems to have sort of been wavering around 7 points for Joe Biden. It went up a little bit, and it's just kind of been consistent there. But now let's look at the battleground states. Florida has been an exception to all of this, right? So we'll talk about Florida separately. But where's the states here? Yeah, like these Rust Belt states, like Michigan, right? Trump was making inroads a tiny bit, shifted back to Biden. Minnesota, where maybe Trump was making inroads at a certain point, is shifted to Biden. And then Wisconsin, another Rust Belt state, Trump was making some serious inroads, but that shifted back to Biden. And Pennsylvania, just another example of this. This is sort of just what's going on in the polling right now. We're talking about micro numbers here, but those micro numbers kind of are significant, right? Sometimes. So yeah, Pennsylvania shifted a bit back towards Biden. It looks like, or maybe Trump was starting to make some inroads. Well, actually, no. It looks like it was actually pretty significant, like a 6-point lead for Joe Biden. That went down to a 4-point lead. Now it's consolidating, sort of, as a 5-point lead, hardening, possibly. This is just one interpretation you could have, that it's hardening for Biden. I think I heard someone use that term. Look at all these battleground states, and we're seeing things shift back to Biden a bit. I do want to point out, though, Florida has been kind of an exception, because, a lot of people do say that Florida is sort of always an exception to the rule, right? Like when a lot of states are sort of trending in a certain way, or Florida sort of does not go along with that. Like in 2018, a lot of people thought it was a blue wave year, and Democrats did quite well. So while a lot of states trended to the Democrats a bit, Florida actually was defiant of that, contradictory to that, and the Republicans actually won some upsets in Florida, and that's sort of what's going on right now, where it narrowed up a bunch and shifted to Trump's favor. Let's look here. It was a 5-point lead for Joe Biden that went to a 1 or 2-point lead, and then some new polling came out that showed it once again go back to Biden a bit. But this is all. And then we don't see that on Real Clear Politics. I want to show you guys on Real Clear Politics. It's gotten down to a 1-point margin, so we see slightly different numbers on Real Clear Politics. But I've looked at Real Clear Politics, and overall, it's kind of the same general picture. It's not like Biden's having some dramatic surge or anything like that. But what has happened is that Biden was holding steady, right, over Trump. Trump was making some inroads, and now that comeback sort of has stopped and gone back to Biden a little bit. I think maybe, just a sort of a theory I came up with is that maybe in light of some of these negative stories that have come out about Donald Trump, some people say they're true, some people say they're not true. I'm not really here to talk about that part of it, but these sort of, I guess, scandals, right, halted the momentum Trump was having. I mean, Donald Trump, we all kind of know him as being immune to scandal. He always seems to be able to handle it. But, I think that maybe the story of him, calling dead soldiers losers and suckers, maybe that stalled his momentum a bit. That's just one possibility, is that he was having that momentum, having that surge, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't call it quite a surge, but that shift towards him. And then maybe, not sure what the timing of that story was. Maybe it's unrelated. Maybe he had already lost that surge before the story came out. But that's just one possibility I thought about. And then there's also this new headline I saw about Trump intentionally downplaying. Once again, I really haven't looked too much into this stuff. I'm sure there are people who say it's true, some people who say it's not true. But yeah, these things do have an effect to some extent. And maybe this is also helping things shift a bit to Biden. These various things having an impact that cumulatively is leading to a bit of a shift back to Biden. But yeah, Florida's been an exception to the rule. We're seeing, along with 4 of these other southern states, Georgia getting more steady for Trump. He's consolidated a 1 or 2 point lead in Georgia. Texas, this is maybe shifted once again by a tiny amount, but it looks like Donald Trump had a 1 or 2 point lead over Biden for a while, and that isn't really changing. I mean, it's really a razor thin lead right now. Actually, that's actually really small lead, right? But that's probably that happened before, and every time it's gotten small like that, it's just gone back up a bit. So this is probably just another one of those things where for one day it's like a less than 1% lead because of some new polls that came out, and then it goes back up to 1 or 2 points. But yeah, Texas probably not gonna go to a Joe Biden lead. But yeah, generally seeing things shift a bit towards Biden. And I'm going to show you guys the 538 forecast. I personally follow. I think it's interesting to follow this forecast. And, a lot of people follow different forecasts. I just personally follow 538's forecast. I think it's interesting to look at. And they're saying that the odds are really shifting to Biden to an extent. Let's look here at the probability over time. I made a video about how Trump had been having a comeback. When that was sort of happening for Trump, I made a video on it, and I talked about how the probability on the 538 forecast had shifted significantly to Trump. It went from 73 to 27, Biden advantage, 67 to 32, Biden advantage. But now that has sort of tapered off, gone to 74-25 advantage Biden. And it's the same thing with their electoral vote and popular vote projections. And so yeah, 538 forecast seems to be shifting to Biden. And one last thing I want to show you guys that I think is interesting is the Real Clear Politics betting odds that I follow. I think it's interesting to see what other people are thinking is going to happen, or the people who are betting their money on this, right? And who they are perceiving as the favorite to win. And what we're seeing is that for a while, Donald Trump had a steady lead. This was a long time ago, months ago. But then that shifted dramatically to Biden when he was having sort of the Biden surge, as I call it. And then that's just sort of staying steady. I guess maybe Trump improved at this point, but it's pretty much a steady advantage for Biden, and it's quite a large advantage. But then everything's shifting dramatically to Trump. It gets to the point where it's almost a dead heat, and at the same time as things have sort of consolidated for Biden, the Biden lead has become stable, right? Stabilized. The betting odds have shifted back to Biden, and we see him with the maybe 8-point, maybe 6-point, maybe 7-point advantage over Donald Trump in the betting odds. So that's interesting, because at the same time as the polling, I think, has shifted back to Biden, I guess you would expect the betting odds to also shift back to him. So basically, what a lot of people are also thinking, I'm one of the many who think that Trump is not having a comeback anymore, and that Biden is probably going to win. And one state that I didn't show you guys earlier in the video that I want to show you guys now is North Carolina, where Biden is actually leading. So let's go to North Carolina. He's leading on 538, and on Real Clear Politics, he's now leading Trump was actually leading in the state, and that has shifted to Biden. So this is just one more example of things shifting a bit back to Biden. So you can say Trump is faltering, Biden's doing something well, Biden's consolidating lead, the numbers are hardening for Biden. Any interpretation of this, people have different interpretations of this, but we are seeing things improve for Biden, with some exceptions like the state of Florida. So, to sum it all up, what I think about all this is that Trump's odds are better than they were before his surge, right? Prior to the Trump surge of early September, his odds, I think, he was in a worse position to win than I think he is now. Really just kind of because of Florida, that's the big reason. But he still has got work to do. And so things that he could maybe do to move the needle, have a strong win over Biden in the debates, that could move the needle a couple points. Or I don't know, just any sort of thing he can do to move the needle. Maybe that's something for another video, is some ways that Donald Trump can improve his numbers. But yeah, that is sort of overall the polling picture that we're seeing right now. That's a wrap on this video. And let me know your guys' thoughts on what's going on in the polls in the comments below, because I'm interested in knowing your guys' interpretations and thoughts on all this. And, I'll have a conversation with you in the comment section. But yeah, I hope you thought this video was interesting. And if you're into this sort of thing of electoral maps and polling data and election analysis, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, because my videos are going to be right up your alley. But yeah, anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, thought it was interesting, and I will see you in the next Election Center video. Bye guys!